Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Addison, whatever time you're listening, and thank you for joining us for our ASD Chat for All podcast. We have lots of fun and exciting things on the horizon for Addison School District 4, and this podcast allows us the opportunity to connect with our parents and guardians, families, and community to celebrate our students, their accomplishments, and so much more. Your hosts for this podcast are ASD4 Superintendent Dr. Nick Sutton and myself, Dean Constantopoulos. You interested in hearing more about what's going on in District 4? Come on in and have a chat. Good afternoon, and thank you all again for joining us for another episode of our ASD Chat for All podcast. My name is Dean Constantopoulos. I'll be one of your hosts, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Nick Sutton. Nick, how are we doing today?
I am well. I am continuing to dig our new microphone setup.
Me too.
Nobody out there listening is ever going to see just how much better this is, but
That's
as
right.
we progress in our podcasting expertise,
That's right.
so does our equipment.
Yes, and if you have any comments about the sound or anything like that, feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But that aside, we actually have a great guest with us today.
That we do.
We're very excited to have her on. Our Director of Student Support Services, Janet Diaz. Janet, how are you?
I'm very good, Dean. Thank you. Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon. It's great to be here with you both.
It's exciting. So we know who you are. We know what you do. And we know how much you are smiling right now, but nobody else will be able to see this. So who exactly are you? What do you do? And if you were some family or community member out there, what is the best summary of how you spend your day?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think the title of Student Support Services can sometimes be a little difficult to really understand or know what really was encompassed within that role. And so what I typically like to tell and share with families and our staff is anything related to special education, anything related to just student needs, whether it's academic or behaviorally or social emotionally, that's really where my role kind of entails. It entails a lot of that support for families and students in that whole realm of just student learning, really.
That's
Very
amazing.
cool.
So you're really kind of helping the student and to be all-rounded, kind of well-rounded. That's incredible. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but the social workers are kind of under your wing. So is there, what other sorts of recognizable groups do you work with?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we call them related services. And so our related service team includes our social workers, our speech pathologists, our school psychologists, also includes, for the most part, I would say it's included some of our nursing staff now as well, because we have found that we've been getting a lot more students that are more medically fragile, that have been starting school these past few years, with more intensive needs than we've seen in the past.
Gotcha.
And so I think our related service team has really continued to evolve in the district.
That's great. So it's growing to meet the growing needs of the community, which is...
And we're to support all students.
Absolutely.
And so if anybody is a family that knows they have a student with a unique challenge or needs some special accommodations, you're a great person to reach out to.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one thing, too, that's important for our families to understand is that we like to support all of our students and keep our students within our district as much as possible. At times, I know that it can be a little intimidating or scary for some of our families if they have a child that has more significant needs, and knowing how they're going to be able to really be supported and feel like they truly belong and that we have the appropriate programming for our students here. But we really do. That's a big part of my philosophy and just how I feel we can support our families and our community is by ensuring that we adjust the way that we support our students to ensure that we're offering the programming that they need based on their particular eligibility areas or disability categories.
That's amazing. Well, thank you very much for sharing. And so to kind of piggyback off that, I know that, like you said, you're addressing students from all different backgrounds with lots of different needs. So What are some of the services that you can tell some of our families that our student services team provides to our kids? And kind of on top of that, what are some services that parents might not know that we provide here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do offer, depending on student need, right? There's 504 plans that we have to support students. It might be more on a medical level, that there's certain medical accommodations that might need to be provided for a student. And then we also have individualized education plans, and those are a lot more specific to the needs of the student and created as a team between the parents and the special education team from the school building. And so those particular individualized education plans are able to outline exactly what types of accommodations the student might need, what goal areas to focus on, and then just continue to reevaluate the way the student is progressing to make sure that we're meeting all of the needs of the student.
I love it. So, we're talking about all these different ways that we support kids. So if there is one thing that has impacted all of us the last couple of years, it would be COVID.
Absolutely.
And so in terms of your realm of responsibility, how have you seen COVID impact certain kids, and what do you want families to know about in terms of how you can help them to support kids if they have any emotional or social emotional type needs, especially that's been impacted by COVID?
Yeah, that is definitely an area that we've seen our students having, needing more supports. And so one of the ways that we've continued to support our students with their social emotional needs is by providing small group supports within each school building through our social workers.
Oh, cool.
That is something that we would need parent permission for, but we do different groups depending on the specific area that the student is struggling with. So let's say it has to do with, kind of that separation maybe from their parent because they've been spending so much time at home with them.
That's a great point.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I think that really created a challenging maybe a challenging behavior we haven't seen in the past. And so that can really then impact the way a student functions in the school setting in every way because they're really trying to, they're missing their parent or they are just not used to those same routines that they were having at home. And so that environment and that kind of routine really has to be reestablished, and that impacts your social emotional needs. And so really working with our families, with our social workers and any other team member to really kind of reestablish those routines and work together as a team with our families.
Great. So, and the fact that you're able to kind of tailor these groups specifically to the needs of individual students and everything like that really kind of just shows how much that this district in particular really cares about the individual student and not just a number, not just anything like that. We really do care about that individual, and so thank you for sharing that. Now, to kind of keep going with this same topic a little bit, I know that our student support services team does so much for our students, but realistically, there's only so much that they can do here at the school when the student's at school because there's a whole other half of their day when they're not in school, right? So what are some tips or advice or some kind of ways to seek help for someone's student if they're not in school or after school hours or for parents who might not be familiar with the whole social emotional aspect of learning?
Mm-hmm. That is a great question. We have had, we've partnered with a new team, I would say. It's called Referral GPS. It's a new program that we began implementing, I want to say last year. And so really what that program does is that it allows us to really, based on the parents' also like insurance that they have or lack, if they don't have insurance, we're able to still connect them with the supports that they need outside of school as well. So whether that's a therapist, whether that's a behavior specialist, whether it and specific to the students' maybe language and the family's language, or specific, it could even be filtered even through like if the parent or the child prefers speaking to a male versus a female therapist. And so there's a lot of actually different resources that are out there and that we can navigate through this program that helps us really cater down even to location or specific things that are impacting or create a barrier for our families to get access to some of those resources. And so through Referral GPS, we have a link to the program on our website. Awesome. And then if any family needs help accessing it or navigating the website through that program, they could also reach out to our school buildings, and our social workers or our school psychologists can help them navigate that program.
I love it. So if there's one theme, you are here to support families and kids based upon whatever unique need they may have. Mm-hmm. And you certainly make sure that you come across that that's one of your passions. So if there's any family out there that wants a little bit more information or has a question, what are some of the easiest ways to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So any family can reach out to me directly to our district office and reach out to me that way, or via email. My email address is jdiaz@asd4.org, and or through Twitter as well. I could be reached any way, but I'd be happy to also, if anybody reaches out directly to their school building, I communicate frequently with our principals, and so I'd be happy to connect in that way as well.
Love it.
Great. So same question to you, Nick. If somebody wants to reach out to you, if they got questions about their student is maybe having a hard time in class, or if they want to just talk about the year, how can they get in touch with you?
School phone number and email is always welcome, but I love my Twitter. Mm-hmm. I love my Twitter, Dean.
Of course.
At Dr. Nick Sutton is an easy way to reach me. Dean, what if somebody wants to reach out to you about this topic, any other topic, or just anything about Addison?
Well, Twitter, you nailed it. It's gonna be the same for me. So at AddisonSD4, reach out and talk to me about whatever. Janet, thank you so much for coming out. It was truly a pleasure to get to speak with you about all this stuff, because all of this is really important information that our parents should definitely know about. So thank you.
No problem. My pleasure.
And for everybody listening, stay tuned for next time. Thank you for tuning in to our ASD Chat for All podcast. Check us out at www.asd4.org, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts for more. We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay tuned.